Hello guys, Gabriel from Serial Killers. We are here with the director of Age of Wonders Planetfall.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself a bit?
Hi, my name is Lennart Sas. I'm director at Planetfall.
So maybe as first question, why the change from the fantasy setting to sci-fi with the new game?
Well, we've been making 20 years of fantasy games, and at one point we had okay, let's do something else. Let's see if we can bring the Age of Wonders formula to a new universe of possibilities, new military hardware that works well with our sort of war-focused 4X gameplay. So instead of having cavalry and archers, have tanks, mechs, orbital laser cannons, like biomutants and everything. So there's a lot of creativity that the sci-fi setting brought to us, and we felt that if you look at the market, there's very few 4X games that are planetary, that have the focus of conquering a single planet with a lot of detail in there. So we saw an opportunity there. We started designing, and then everything started to click when we thought of the concept of the Star Union, this galactic empire that left its ruins everywhere. So the worlds that you'll be visiting and fighting over are not empty, desolate places for you to settle, but they're filled with history, with the traces of a giant galactic war, and it's for you to unravel what went wrong in that Star Union. It's also about you tracing back your own origin, your own faction's origin, and build up a new society.
Are there any games that you drew inspiration from, like in the genre? Or?
We draw inspirations from all over the place. So in terms of looking at a post-apocalyptic world, the Fallout games are of course an inspiration. The only thing is Fallout is really centered around Earth, while we basically take a galactic empire that maybe you find in Star Wars or in Dune, and destroyed it, and then you delve into the histories. In terms of course, the sci-fi 4X gameplay on the single planet, of course, Alpha Centauri was the founding father of that genre, basically. So that game, of course, is you can't go without mentioning that game. But the entire setting is, of course, massively different, and we drew from all sorts of science fiction, especially mythological science fiction. So it's more Star Wars, it's more Dune than it is maybe Star Trek, with more sort of science-y feel to it.
Did you do any research for the worlds, or is it based on something, or did you build everything from scratch, or?
Well, we did do quite a bit of research, primarily towards future utopias. Where is humanity going when it comes to, extending life or improving mankind biologically, or maybe improving mankind by making unions with machines, or maybe mentally, all those sort of future visions that sometimes also totalitarian regimes have, or futurists in the Silicon Valley have. Take a look at what do people see in the future, and we try to play with those scenarios when it came to designing the factions, when it came to designing the Star Union, where they were going. What does it mean if everything is automated, if masses of people no longer have a job? Sexual entertainment with robots, all those themes that we bring back into the game and have some fun with.
What can players expect from the campaign? How is the build-up gonna be? Is it something new, or is it maybe tied in with the older games, or what are your plans here?
There are no story continuity with the previous games. So there's there's two different universes, and the campaign centers around the various factions and tells the story of the rebuilding of the Star Union from the perspective of the various factions. So maybe as in Game of Thrones, where there's multiple vantage points with each of the characters, we also take that approach. So you start off building selecting one of the starting races, they build up on their planet, and then they might encounter the other factions. And so you construct that narrative from multiple angles, and then there's a big sort of climax at the end of the campaign. For the first time, the campaign maps are partially procedurally generated, meaning that whenever you replay a campaign, the world looks a little bit different. So maybe as you see in a roguelike RPG, like Diablo, where the maps are partially different each time. But it doesn't mean that we made any concessions to story. There's as much story in there, as much quest in there as before.
Can you tell us some details about your work with the console versions? Were there any difficulties, or did you approach any angles that are pretty much difficult to achieve from going from PC to console, like a strategy game, gameplay-wise?
Well, the primary thing which I think always kept us from not doing a console version, especially on the previous generations of the consoles, was always a screen resolution and screen size. It's the amount of information that you can put on the screen. So when the previous generation of consoles still had to support CRTs, and it's almost impossible to show a complex interface with lots of text that becomes dizzying. But now with a lot of people having a 1080p TV or higher even, that issue is a lot less prevalent. The game is turn-based. That also makes it a lot easier to control. It also has a very strong event loop, meaning that the events say what you need to do in a turn. You press on the event, you automatically get taken to the location where you need to act. So there's less camera movement, manual camera movement with the sticks. So it actually plays quite convenient. Still, we spent about 1 year with 2 people on converting the interface for console. So it was quite a bit of work.
So can you tell us anything about what's the main key features that are new in the new game? Like, do you get any new modes that people didn't see in older games, or anything in this?
Do you mean more gameplay features or play modes? Both.
Let's start with the game modes. Is there any new game mode in the?
Well, we made a radical change into how multiplayer works. So previously we had like the standards sort of like live multiplayer mode. Usually people play simultaneous turns. All players are at once, and we added sort of a play by email system where I send a turn and then you play your turn and send it back, and then I play my turn. And what we did now is make one unified adaptive multiplayer mode. So the multiplayer game is always stored in the cloud, and we can play that way when I have 15 minutes, I play my turn, upload it to the cloud, you retrieve it, and you play your turn. But if you're online at the same time, we can switch to a live mode. So we take the same cloud game, then start playing head-to-head in the weekend, for example, when we both have 2 hours. And then when we're done, I said, okay, let's continue on Monday, but then play whenever we have time. The game automatically, dynamically adapts to our life. So that's the main sort of new multiplayer mode. Of course, random maps, procedural generated maps are stronger and bigger than ever, with more ways to configure those maps in the front end.
From the PlayStation, I really like that I can customize my commander.
Yeah.
Are there any more customizable things in the campaign or in the rest of the game, or is it just the commander you can customize?
Yeah, the commander has a massive effect how your empire looks. So if your commander chooses a particular secret technology, it doesn't affect just his personal skills, but also all of the modules that you can load up to your units and the doctrines you can enact to your entire empire. So we take the sort of approach, more of a mythological approach, where the empire or your commander is an embodiment of your empire. Like in Star Wars, for example, the Empress is evil. The Empire is just his tool, and that sort of mythological view we take with the sort of rebuilding the empires in this game too.
Maybe as final question: is there one specific feature in the game that you really want people to see or recognize, or?
Well, the obvious features, ones that are immediately clear when you buy the game and boot it up, is the intricacies in multiplayer. In combat. You're using mods in order to kit out your units. So you take your basic soldier, you give him a jetpack or a armor-piercing rounds, and really change the ability of that soldier by using these modules. But I think on the world map lay the bigger changes. We've added a whole new layer of strategic gameplay based around sectors. Sectors are basically provinces that you can attach to your main colony, and then you can specialize. So that way you can have a colony focused on agriculture or on producing of units, or even producing highly trained units by selecting the right upgrades in each of the provinces and buffing a particular aspect of that colony in a way. So that way you can have unit production centers, food production centers, and specialize your economy in that way. And the sectors are quite big, so you can have up to 5 sectors attached to a single colony.
Mm-hmm.
That means that the choices that you make are quite meaningful. So they're not like small specializations in a single hexagon, but they're quite big chunks in order to bring your colony forward.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
All right, cool.